Okay, so here we are, just a quick review of Latin American independence. And so remember, our theme here for this unit is the impact of not only the Enlightenment, right here, but also, of course, the impact of the French Revolution. So, So, when we're talking about Latin America, this is the area of the world that we're talking about. Generally speaking, everything from Mexico on down, so not only North America, but Central and South America, plus the Caribbean, right? And even though our friends, the Haitians, are French, your SOL curriculum lumps them in with Latin America. So, feel free to commit this to memory. Okay, so just to remind ourselves of the background. So remember, the United States of America and our Declaration of Independence sort of put the ideas of the Enlightenment into practice. So a lot of our Creoles in the colonies are like, okay, we can do this. So then the French Revolution takes it even further, especially in their Declaration of the Rights of Man. They kind of expand on some of our rights. And so the Spanish colonists again say, okay, we like this. Then, as you know, Napoleon provides the necessary political disruption, right? So seeds, right, are planted here, and then Napoleon allows for the opportunity for them to finally break away. So initially Napoleon, because he wants to build an empire, tries to reassert French dominance, not only in what will become the Louisiana Purchase, but also in Haiti. Remember, in the mid-1700s, they had lost a lot of their territory to the British. So, as you know, Haiti does not go well for him, so he sort of cuts his losses. He knows he needs money to fuel his imperial ambitions, so he sells that French territory to us, the Americans, in the Louisiana Purchase. So, after that, he then invades Spain. He puts his brother on the throne, and the Creoles in Latin America say, hey, he's not our king. So the power then shifts to the people, they feel, thanks to John Locke, and that gives them the excuse to rebel. So the rebellion begins in 1810, but as you recall from your reading, it takes probably 20 years to really achieve, 10 to 20 years to achieve full independence from Spain. So let's talk some kind of important concepts to keep in mind. The first, of course, is the role of the Catholic Church. We talked initially, the Catholic missionaries would come over, and not only would they convert the native people to Catholicism, but they're also converting them to Spanish culture or Portuguese culture, language, authority to the government. So it's, obey God as you do the Spanish. So the Catholic Church then helps kind of keep Spanish culture, bring Spanish and Portuguese culture to the Americas. Thus, we always need to remember our colonies always imitate the mother countries. So their government, the way society is organized, especially this rigid class structure which existed in Spain, is all then carried out into the Americas, right? North American colonists have a different experience because their mother country is different. The other thing we have to remember is the class system, and we talked perhaps in class kind of the French Revolution equivalent. So our peninsulares, right, they're born in the peninsula of Spain and Portugal, the Iberian Peninsula. They're like our nobility, right? So they might come to Latin America, for a length of time. Our Creoles then are our bourgeoisie, so you can see a larger percentage of the population. So they're European descent, they have European ancestry, but they were born and their families have stayed in America. So like our bourgeoisie, and these, of course, will be the leaders of the revolution because they want to be able to share power or get rid of these guys altogether. And then, of course, because this is a racially based social structure, which you see kind of played out here, these are our people who are mixed, right? So mestizos are mixed so one parent is Native American, or they have Native American ancestry and European ancestry. Here they have African ancestry and European ancestry. And of course, because this is a racist system, the enslaved Africans and then the Native Americans, if they're still around, are at the very bottom. So I think this kind of helps us see the percentage breakdown, which, if you recall, looks similar to the population breakdown of the 3 estates in France. Okay, so our story begins in Haiti, but remember, they're breaking away from France. And what is different about this revolution is that it is run by this man, excuse my French, Toussaint Louverture. He is a former slave. This revolt is the only successful slave rebellion, I believe, in world history. And please ignore this typo I just noticed. It is not Hispaniola, it's Hispaniola. So remember that Hispaniola is this whole island of Haiti and the Dominican Republic. So Toussaint Louverture leads 500,000 enslaved Africans in Haiti, and he'll kind of, because this is one island, he'll play off France and Spain, even the British get involved, and he sort of this is why he's known as L'Ouverture. It means, I think in French, the opening. It's not his actual name, but his nickname, that he was able to find the opening in any battle line. And so he will be captured by the French and eventually die in prison from yellow fever. But his general and the others will carry on and then declare Haiti, to be an independent nation. Okay, so let's jump into South America, to our liberators there. And the first one, and probably the most famous one, is Simón Bolívar. He is also a Creole, and here are the flags of the countries he helped liberate from Spain. And so by 1821, all of these countries are now independent, but he is from Venezuela. So as he works towards liberation here, again, lots of people all over this area have the same goals. And so they have to work together to kind of achieve this independence. And since 1821, even into the 20th century, right, these borders will kind of change and grow as they sort of decide on, agree upon boundaries. The other important person here is José de San Martín. So he's kind of the military mastermind here. Simón Bolívar is our diplomat, but together they both will lead military campaigns against the Spanish. So he and then Bernardo O'Higgins, another Creole, work together and fight against the Spanish. But Martín was kind of an interesting man, and if you recall from our little gallery walk where you read about each man and their lives, not many people like de San Martín had these goals, but it wasn't about becoming powerful or being the leader, but achieving the goal of independence from Spain. And then when we move to Mexico, something a little bit different here, right? So how does it differ? You'll notice the movement in Mexico is led by 2 priests, and they're also then working with the mestizo population and the Native American population. So unlike Bolívar and José de San Martín, who are Creoles and start with the Creole population, these men start with the lowest of the low, right? These people who are truly oppressed and exploited. And gotta love this guy, right? Here he is, a priest, right? Padre Miguel Hidalgo, who is educated with Enlightenment ideas and philosophy, and takes that to help then the poorest among them, right? As a priest, he is working then with these people. So he issues this famous speech called Grito de Dolores. I think it's the cry of pain. This is the flag he carried that is in the museum in Mexico, the actual flag. And so as you recall, what happens to revolutionaries sometimes is he pays the price with his life. So he is captured by the Spanish and is executed. But another priest, Jose Maria Morelos, picks up the call, if you will, with then again the mestizo population. Like Hidalgo, he too is educated in Enlightenment principles. Also a priest, but then tries to help out and kind of keep the momentum going of seeking independence. He too, like Hidalgo, right, will be executed for this. So the Creoles then pay attention. So they're like, well, we can't have the poor people, right, do this. They need to take the revolution into their own hands, which they do. And so they then take over this fight, achieve independence from Spain. However, the life of the mestizo or the native population, unfortunately, will not change much between being ruled by the Creoles or being ruled by the Peninsulares. And last but not least, I won't forget Brazil, but this is kind of a unique example. So this is mostly peaceful, right? When Napoleon invades Spain and Portugal, the royal family escapes to Brazil. So they just kind of hang out in Brazil while Portugal is controlled by Napoleon and goes through different different problems, right? So Napoleon's defeated. The king of Portugal returns home, but he leaves his son, Pedro, to stay behind. Now, the king goes home because there's kind of a liberal revolution happening, as we've been talking about throughout Europe, right? A lot of people are wanting to kind of change, have more representative government. So he goes home to kind of stop that, but yet his son, here he is, also believes in these ideals. So he sort of declares independence, and it's kind of easy transition, so the king kind of like, oh, right. So he's still kind of in control, but then brings out a constitutional monarchy and a liberal revolution. So again, the government, I'm obviously summing up complicated things in just a few minutes, but all of these countries go through sort of an evolution as they become more republics, right, rather than monarchs. And thus is a quick review of the Latin American independence movements, right, inspired by what happened in the United States and what happened in France. So the thing is this. One thing that's kind of random that we have to kind of remember is the Monroe Doctrine. We've talked about it before, but remember with the Congress of Vienna. So remember the Congress of Vienna said that their goal is to reassert monarchies in Europe. So when the Creoles try to break free from the monarch, the Austrians, the Prussians, they're ready to send their forces into Mexico, into Venezuela, etc., to support the monarchy. But the United States says, not so fast. We guarantee, the Monroe Doctrine says the United States will support the independence of these nations. However, I joke, maybe it's not so funny if you're from South America, but we say stay out, but mostly beginning in 1898, we will then interfere with our neighbors to the south. So in 1898, we will over time send our forces into all of these countries. And then in some cases, right, we'll be there for quite some time. So I'll leave that to your U.S. history teachers to discuss. And we'll kind of circle back to this because it will have some consequences in the Great Depression, right, after World War I. Okay, enjoy.